They left for a climb that should have taken 3 days. Their bodies weren't found for years, and when they were, nothing made sense. A child walks to school in Karachi. Never arrives. No ransom. No body. No answers. Drivers on the Islamabad highway report the same thing. A figure standing where no one should be. Days later, someone goes missing on that exact stretch of road. Pakistan. 3 cases. 3 different places. One impossible pattern. People vanish, and reality offers no explanation. From snow-covered peaks to crowded city streets to lonely highways, these disappearances don't follow the rules. They don't leave evidence. They don't make sense. And the families? They're still waiting for answers that may never come. This is not folklore. These are documented cases. Real people. Real investigations. Real silence. Watch closely, because what happened to them could happen to anyone. In July 2015, a small team of Pakistani climbers set out to summit Sarwali Peak, the highest mountain in Azad Kashmir, at over 6,300 meters. The expedition was not unusual. The climbers were experienced, properly equipped, and familiar with the Neelum Valley terrain. Weather forecasts showed no immediate red flags. They informed locals of their planned route and expected return window. Then communication stopped. When the climbers failed to descend on schedule, families assumed delays. In the Karakoram and Himalayan ranges, this happens. But days passed. Phones remained unreachable. No movement was spotted on the descent routes. Eventually, concern turned into alarm, and a search operation was requested. Rescue efforts were slow and limited. Sarwali Peak is remote, rarely climbed, and difficult to access even in ideal conditions. There were no permanent rescue bases nearby, and helicopters could only fly limited missions due to altitude and weather instability. Local guides searched lower camps and known paths. Nothing was found. No torn gear. No footprints. No signs of an avalanche or fall. Official explanations were vague. Authorities suggested the climbers may have been caught in sudden weather changes, a whiteout, or a concealed crevasse. But no concrete evidence supported any theory. As weeks passed, the case quietly faded from headlines. Years later, remains were reportedly discovered high on the mountain, scattered in a way that raised more questions than it answered. Some equipment was found far from expected routes. Certain items appeared untouched by extreme weather, despite years of exposure. Exact details were never fully released to the public. To this day, there is no clear reconstruction of what actually happened on Sarwali Peak. No final timeline. No confirmed cause of death. Just a mountain that gave the bodies back, but kept the story. Search teams later admit something unsettling. What troubles investigators is not that the climbers died in the mountains. That happens. What remains unexplained is how they died, where they were found, and why the evidence does not align with common alpine disasters. The reported locations of the remains do not match known climbing lines or logical descent paths. Some items appear separated by large distances, as if the group did not perish together. There are no confirmed records of a major avalanche during the window of their disappearance. No massive crevasse collapse was documented. And yet, experienced climbers vanish from a mountain they prepared for. Families asked for answers. They received silence. Official reports remain incomplete. Details are classified, summarized, or never released at all. No final expedition log is made public. No definitive explanation is given. In Pakistan, mountain disappearances rarely receive prolonged scrutiny, especially in remote border regions like Azad Kashmir. Locals speak quietly. Some mention sudden weather walls that appear without warning. Others talk about disorientation at extreme altitude, where climbers lose time, direction, and judgment. A few claim the mountain itself behaves unpredictably, swallowing sound and movement without leaving marks. None of these accounts can be proven, but none can be dismissed either. Years after the disappearance, Sarwali Peak remains largely unclimbed. Not because it is impossible, but because something about the mountain unsettles those who know it best. From a frozen peak in Kashmir, we now move hundreds of kilometers south, to a city of lights and traffic, where people disappear just as completely. And unlike the mountains, there is nowhere to blame the terrain. Karachi is one of the largest cities in the world. Over 20 million people. Constant movement. Crowded streets. Busy neighborhoods. In a place like this, vanishing should be almost impossible. Yet, year after year, children disappear. Police records from the 2010s onward show a steady rise in missing children reports across districts like Lyari, Karanji, Orangi Town, and Malir. Some vanish while walking to school. Some while playing outside their homes. Others disappear during short errands, last seen just meters away from family members. Most cases follow the same pattern. A child leaves the house. Minutes pass, then hours. Phones are switched off or never owned. CCTV coverage is limited or malfunctioning. Witnesses contradict each other. By the time reports are filed, crucial time is already lost. Authorities often categorize these cases quickly: runaways, domestic disputes, human trafficking, clerical errors. But families insist many of these explanations do not fit. Some children are too young to run away. Others had no history of conflict. In several cases, parents report no ransom calls, no demands, no follow-up at all. What disturbs investigators is the lack of physical evidence. No confirmed abduction footage, no recovered belongings, no consistent suspect patterns. Entire lanes are canvassed with nothing solid emerging. In a city this loud, the disappearances happen quietly. Non-government organizations estimate that only a fraction of cases ever receive full investigative follow-through. Files go cold within weeks. Families continue searching alone. Posters fade from walls. Names slowly stop appearing in the news. Karachi keeps moving. But somewhere between traffic signals and alleyways, children are still going missing without explanation. What haunts families most is not just the disappearance. It is the absence that follows. Months turn into years. Parents revisit police stations only to find files untouched. Officers rotate. Details are forgotten. In some cases, families report being quietly advised to stop asking questions, to move on, to accept that their child is gone. There are no bodies, no confirmed trafficking routes tied to specific cases, no single group ever held responsible. Each disappearance is treated as isolated. But when patterns are placed side by side, a darker picture forms. Children vanish from similar neighborhoods, at similar times of day, often within short distances of home. And once they are gone, they are rarely seen again. Karachi is not a forest, not a mountain range. There are no cliffs to fall from, no snowstorms to erase tracks. And yet, people disappear just as completely, which raises a disturbing question. If this can happen in one of the most populated cities on Earth, what happens in places with no witnesses at all? For our final case, we leave the city behind and move on to a long stretch of road. A highway where drivers report something they cannot explain, and where disappearances feel less random and far more deliberate. This is the stretch between Srinagar and Islamabad. Along the Srinagar-Islamabad highway, travelers report strange, unexplainable phenomena late at night. Drivers alone in cars describe seeing a lone figure standing on the roadside. Sometimes it waves. Sometimes it stands motionless. Approaching it seems impossible. In many accounts, the figure disappears before anyone can reach it. Witnesses describe an unsettling stillness. The air feels heavier near the spot. Vehicles' headlights dim or flicker, engines stall briefly, and radios crackle with static. Those who stop, or even slow down, often report an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some claim they see the figure at multiple points along the same stretch, appearing miles apart in moments that defy normal travel. Locals speak in hushed tones. Truck drivers and long-distance commuters share stories of friends who vanished after reporting similar sightings. In some cases, vehicles were found abandoned hours later, doors locked, belongings intact, but the passengers never returned. Police reports exist, but are often incomplete, attributed to accidents or missing persons. No investigation has ever linked these vanishings to a specific criminal act. The phenomenon is not limited to one night. Over several years, dozens of travelers recount eerily similar experiences. Despite differing times, vehicles, and routes, the figure's description remains consistent: tall, shadowy, featureless, and impossible to track. Some suggest folklore, a warning spirit tied to the treacherous mountains. Others fear something more deliberate, an unknown presence that targets travelers selectively. The highway itself has become a place of silent dread. Travelers pass it cautiously, aware that ordinary journeys can end in extraordinary disappearance. This is not just a road. It is a corridor where reality itself seems to bend, and some who enter do not return. Investigators have tried to trace patterns, but the highway offers few answers. The disappearances do not correspond to traffic density, weather, or time of night. Some witnesses report seeing the figure for mere seconds, while others claim encounters lasting minutes. Despite repeated efforts, no physical evidence, footprints, tire marks, or surveillance footage has ever been verified. Residents living near the highway speak cautiously. They describe travelers who stop on a whim, never return, and vehicles left untouched along the roadside. Stories circulate about people who feel an unseen force guiding them off the road, only to emerge miles later with no recollection of the missing time. Some speak of shadowy figures glimpsed from windows, watching silently, then vanishing without a trace. Locals advise drivers not to stop, to keep moving, and to avoid certain stretches after dark. Some families report that their relatives who vanished were last seen passing these warning points, often on routine trips. The strange incidents blend into the night, unrecorded officially, yet etched into the memory of the community. What makes these highway vanishings chilling is their ordinariness. People are not climbing peaks, not exploring forests. They are traveling familiar roads, in clear weather, with no reason to fear. Yet the road seems to act unpredictably, swallowing travelers whole. Those who have returned describe an oppressive sense of disorientation, as though the highway itself refuses to release them fully. Even years later, the stretch between Srinagar and Islamabad carries its reputation. Truck drivers, bus conductors, and locals avoid speaking openly. Tourists are rarely warned, and journalists are cautious. But the whispers persist. The mysterious figure appears repeatedly, and along with it, the same eerie outcome. People disappear, leaving behind only questions, abandoned vehicles, and a road that keeps its secrets tightly sealed. 3 cases. 3 regions of Pakistan. 3 families still searching for answers that don't exist. The climbers on Sarwali Peak. The children of Karachi. The travelers on the Islamabad highway. Different locations. Different circumstances. But the same haunting reality. They vanished, and no one can explain why. These aren't ancient legends or urban myths. These are our neighbors, our communities, our country. And the questions remain. What connects these disappearances? Why do some places seem to swallow people whole? And most disturbing of all, could it happen again? If you know someone from these areas, share this video. Someone might remember a detail investigators missed. Drop your theory in the comments. Karachi's missing children, random abductions, or something deeper? The Sarwali Peak climbers, what really happened in those final hours? The highway sightings, coincidence, or warning? Subscribe to WhisperFrame for more documented cases from Pakistan and beyond. Because the truth isn't always comforting, but silence is worse. Some mysteries demand to be remembered. This is one of them.